Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'd like to talk to you about the top 6 tools that you need to get started in plumbing. Originally this was going to be a top 5, but I wanted to add one more, and I could honestly make this a top 10 or a top 20. But I wanted to keep it simple for you guys who are looking to get started in plumbing and just want to get a simple set of inexpensive tools that the professionals use. So first up, I'd like to talk about one of my personal favorites, channel locks. Now, people call these channel locks, but it's actually just the brand. These are actually called water pump pliers, and they come in different sizes. If you could only buy one size of these to start off with, I recommend getting size 440. That's because when you're working under sinks and using 1.5" slip nuts or traps, which is a common size for sink traps, this will do it. This will also do smaller sizes. It's a nice, healthy sized set to start out with. Now, down the road, I do recommend that you get these in other sizes. It will only help. But to start off with, the 440, that will get you going. It'll get you started. They're inexpensive. It's an inexpensive wrench. And it was one of the first tools that I bought as a young plumber when I wanted to get started. So, channel locks, water pump pliers. Now I will say this, they do make these in different brands. I know Milwaukee makes them, a few other brands make them. Channel locks, the blue handle channel locks, have stood the test of time. I'm sure these other brands are great, but I can tell you that for as long as I can remember, and the guys who did this decades before me, channel locks were the standard. Okay, so moving on, and this is one of the things I added on, was a box wrench, a crescent wrench, etc. This is important because while the channel locks are good for just basically wrenching, and also it's an adjustable wrench for just getting around things and being able to adjust to different sizes, they do have rough jaws. And sometimes if you're working on some finish work or something nice that you don't really want to damage, or strip the nut, you could strip the nut with these, but they're really great for a lot of jobs where you're not concerned about that. So when you're concerned about not wanting to strip a nut or, damage the work that you are working on, that's when we go with this box wrench, crescent wrench, however you want to call it. It's smooth jawed. It adjusts to the specific size that you need, and then you can work on it. Now, one trick I'll tell you is you start turning with it one way, and then when it feels like you're stuck, if you're in close quarters, you flip the wrench, get another bite, and keep on going. But either way, another inexpensive tool that'll get you started in your plumbing career. And if you are working or getting started in a union, or just as a plumbing apprentice, these are also the tools that you're going to need every day, and you're going to want to have each one of these tools with you. They'll only make your job easier, and it's almost impossible to do the job without them. So this crescent wrench. Next is the level. This is extremely important when you're doing plumbing. When people say, is it plumb? They're talking about, is it straight or is it pitched correctly? And when you're doing drainage, you have to have a certain level or inches or a bubble, whatever, per foot of piping. Now that varies by the size of pipe and the length of the run. I'm not going to go into that right now, but there's no other way to do that accurately without having a level to let you know if you are plumb. There's many ways you can use this level. You can use it like this. You can use it flat. There's all different things on it, which I'm not going to go into, but you'll learn that on the job, or you can watch YouTube videos specifically on levels. But also, must have, also very inexpensive, you need this. Next up, we have the tape measure. Now, there's been so many variations of these, whether people use Fat Max. This Stanley, honestly, is what I used. I couldn't afford a Fat Max when I started out as a plumbing apprentice. So I like Stanleys. They were inexpensive. They held up. I've owned Fat Maxes, later in my career. But I'll tell you, I do like just the feel of a Stanley. It's a narrower body. It's a lighter tape measure. It does all the same things that a Fat Max can do. But to me, I like it. Now, speaking of tape measures, what I will say is recently I've kind of fallen in love with the Milwaukee tape measure. And eventually I plan on doing a review on this, but it's really cool. They say don't reinvent the wheel, but I gotta say, this tape measure reimagined is really awesome. It has some great features. This little cutaway at the end where you can hold it in place. In the old days with the other ones, you had to lock it down. I mean, you could still kind of do it too, but it wasn't really made for that. This, they made that cutaway. It's really neat. There's a magnet in the front. Just cool things. Now, I don't want to steal my own thunder because I do plan on doing a separate review for this Milwaukee because I'm impressed with it. I really am. I like what I see, but that's a whole nother story. So we have, just to recap, we have the channel locks, we have the Crescent Wrench, we have the level, we have this tape measure. Now, just to go in and why you need this tape measure is, plumbing is very specific. And one thing that you're going to find is these pieces are not pre-cut. They don't go together naturally. Many things in plumbing you have to make fit. You have to cut the pieces of pipe specifically. You have to measure the distance for the angle, very accurately, specifically. And it can be frustrating at times, but that's the magic of the job, is making it work. And without a tape measure, there's an old saying, buy eye or buy buy. Because there's a lot of guys that can just eyeball things and everything else and keep it moving. And I'm sure with years of practice, you'll be able to do that too. But initially, you're going to want to back yourself up. Because there's also another saying, measure twice, cut once. And that saved me a lot of frustration in my career and a lot of embarrassment. So, tape measure. Next on this list is the 6-in-1 screwdriver. I can't tell you how many times you're going to need a screwdriver. If you're doing service work on a shower valve, undoing a cartridge, pulling a faceplate off, you name it. There's just more examples than I can ever count on why you would need a screwdriver. That's plumbing specific. Obviously, yes, to turn screws and drywall screws and this, that, and the other thing. But no, specifically with plumbing, there's certain shower cartridges and things like that go together, faceplates, Phillip head screwdrivers. So the 6-in-1 is great and necessary as opposed to just a single, because you have the larger Phillips and flathead on one side. You have the smaller Phillips and flathead on one side. And the one piece of advice, guys, I'll give you is use the right screwdriver for this screw. Don't use a super small screwdriver on a larger screw or vice versa, because you're just going to strip the screw and cause yourself more problems. But the real awesome thing about this 6-in-1 that's particular to plumbing is when you take the screwdriver part out of the larger side, this is the size that you use for no-hub couplings or hose clamps. A lot of plumbing repair fittings use this size, which I believe is 3/8. Don't quote me on it. I'm a little rusty. Like I said, I haven't touched the tools in a while, but I've worked with them for years. So then we also have the smaller size, which comes in handy, and just an invaluable tool, very inexpensive. I think this particular screwdriver cost me $5. And what you're looking at here is really under $100 worth of tools. Maybe even, I don't want to, it's not under 50. You might be around 50, a little more. you know, you never know. Prices are always out of control, but definitely under $100. And this next tool is also very specific to plumbing in terms of like a lot of like, again, shower cartridges, shower repair, faucet repair, many different times in your plumbing career or starting, you're going to deal with this, and it's just Allen keys. You know, you get a set like this, there's the American and the metric. I would recommend getting both, or if you have something where they're all included, just get it. This you're gonna need, you're gonna want this, and that's why I included this. Oh, so many other things you can do with the other tools here, and that's true. But these Allen keys, when you don't have them, there's really nothing else that you can use in their place. You need an Allen key. You know, some of these things you can kind of finagle and use for dual purposes, or sometimes you get a lot of different uses out of them, and you can make a tool kind of stretch it to its limits of use, which, you know, some people advise against, you know, right tool for the right job. But when you're on the job, getting the job done is the most important part. And however you can do that and make that work, that's what I recommend you do. So I hope you guys found this interesting, and I hope this helps get you started. Even if you're just a homeowner, having these tools around the house and access to YouTube, it'll save you a lot of money. And these tools, I know for myself, have all paid for themselves many times over. And I know they will for you too. So I appreciate you guys watching this video. Thank you so much for your support. And please, if you got any value out of this, please hit the like and subscribe button so you can get notified of any future videos. Thank you so much, and have a great night.